I want to do a little bit of mental riffing today. There's a few ideas flowing around in my head. I'm going to put them together and mix them up and see what comes out. Got a nice text from a friend in California this morning. It's a quote from the Bible and then a little discussion from a book that apparently she's reading, which I don't have the title of. Otherwise, I would share that. I'm going to read this little bit of a page for you. You have heard that it has been said, "You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy." But I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, and do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who despitefully use you and persecute you, that you might be children of the Beloved who is in heaven. For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. And then the author goes on. Now that was a quote from Jesus, actually the teachings of Jesus. And the author of the book now is saying, many people pray to God because they want God to fulfill some of their needs. If they want to have a picnic, they ask God for a clear, sunny day. At the same time, a farmer is somewhere else praying for rain. If the weather is clear, the picnickers will say, hey, God's on our side, right? But if it rains, the farmer's going to say, well, God heard my prayers. And this is how we usually pray. Now, why are those things going together, and where are we going to go with this? The two other ingredients I want to mix in are two things that Sri Ramakrishna said in his teachings. He said that mind is everything, okay? And he said that pure mind and Brahman, or pure mind and God, are the same thing. And what is it that makes a pure mind impure? It's the sense of me and mine. So when Jesus is teaching us how to pray, and he's saying, pray for those who hate you, pray for those who spitefully want to use you, pray for your enemies, and makes the point that God reigns on the good and the evil at the same time and provides for everyone. What he's saying is discount this sense of me and mine, this ego judgment, this place, this perspective that you call your own, that causes you to see things differently than God sees them, which is what he's driving at in that whole story. I hope you can hear me with this wind, because apparently the farmer's winning the argument today. It looks like the rain's coming. So this notion of me and mine and pure mind. So I was thinking this morning, I'm studying a lot of artists and their manifestos, where they kind of write out their determination or their rebellion or revolution of the day in art, pushing against those boundaries, those restrictions. So this morning I woke up and I was sitting there just kind of thinking about things, and I thought, what is my spiritual manifesto at this point in my life? What is it that I believe? What is it that I'm pushing toward? And just for your entertainment, really, I'm going to share kind of some of the things I came up with. It's when I thought about those two teachings from Sri Ramakrishna. Everything is mind. So I thought, what does that mean? I looked around at my desk and I said, all of this is mind. Okay? And I thought, how can all of this be mind? And I said, well, it's all being perceived. It's being perceived in a mind. And we've talked in the past that idealist philosophy, where there's no real way to validate the existence of a world outside of yourself, outside of your mind. Just to refresh on that, we hear something, we assume it comes from outside because it's coming to our ear. But I'll remind you that your ear is a concept that exists only in your mind. It's a symbol for where sound comes from, but we cannot validate where that comes from. And you say, that's crazy, how do you know that? Well, put on a pair of headsets and play the sound of gunshot. Now, that gunshot may have come from the real world, or it may have come through the recording. You don't really have a way of knowing. That's the whole point of VR and augmented reality, is that stuff from the senses can be fooled. We don't know where they're coming from. If you're in AR and they've got you balancing on a tightrope, or VR, on a tightrope a mile above the ground, you look down, you're terrified. I've seen the videos. It happens. Because your mind doesn't know where that information is coming from. It loses its ability to discern. So mind is everything. Everything that you see and touch is in mind, of mind, just like in a dream. In a dream, everything is of your own mind, created by your mind. And it's perfectly convincing. It seems absolutely real. And there's no way to know whether it is or not. You have no way of really judging that or actually finding that out. You can say, well, I can collaborate with someone else. Well, that someone else you're collaborating with is in your own mind. And so it doesn't do you any good. So I'm not jumping on that as any big point. I'm just adding that to our mixture here in the bowl. And then pure mind and God are one and the same. All right, well, this really drove home the idea that God and I can never be separated. I am using God to create everything. Just like in my dream, I'm using the mind to create the entire world. My entire reality, all of my concerns, all of my past and my future are all being a collaborative effort between this ego self and God to create the world, which aligns with what most of the sages are saying, which is very interesting. So we have this very intimate relationship between mind and a concept within that mind of an individual me, a point of reference from which I am looking at the rest of mind from. And it creates this very intimate, beautiful scenario, I think, where you are the creator of the world simply by your awareness. And we talked about that being a Buddhist teaching the other day, in that sense of giving, that all is given to you as soon as you come into an awareness. The world is created and it comes from that one as a gift to the one. So it's this giving and self-creation that's happening at the same time, but it's not happening because or in that point of reference, that individuated self, the me and mine, that reference point, me and mine in the mind. That's not where things come from. It's experiencing the mind of the dream as a whole and only taking responsibility for those sections of the mind that it's put within its own control in a way. So where am I going with this? I'm going in a direction that says to me that whether or not you want God to be outside of yourself or inside of yourself is irrelevant. It's not worth arguing about, because one, you can't prove an outside of yourself, and nor can you really prove an inside of yourself. It's just an experiencing as a whole. So whether God is inside or outside can't be determined, and it's a matter of choice. And that is the context within which all religions can become true, because everything becomes a scaffolding, as it were, to transcend this limitation of a small self created of the same substance as the whole, that we are in fact made of God, in God, through God, for God, and by God. And that there is no actual ego perspective within that conglomerate, within that composition, within that wholeness, that it's imagined. Just like when you're sleeping at night and dream of an army of people, you're still the only one in the bed, I presume. Again, you don't have any way of validating that. But when you wake up in the morning, there's no evidence that there was an army in your bed with you the night before. All of that really just for fun, but to show you that this world is your own making. Make it beautiful. The nature of this world is love, because you're at the center of it. You have created all that you see by your awareness. In that, manifest love. Manifest wholeness. Manifest giving. Manifest intelligence. We're not doing a great job of that these days. Let's try it. So that's our mixing bowl of ideas today. I don't really have a particular agenda or point. I'm just throwing a bunch of ingredients together and seeing what comes out just by contemplating. So I give to you the salad of contemplation. It's up to you to pick out what you like and don't like, put the dressing of your choice on top of it, and have a great rest of the day.